Welcome back, adventurers, to Let's Play Resident Evil Real Survival. Now, when last we left off, Jill Valentine had finally acquired the mighty shotgun. And this door is locked with a helmet lock. So we're going to have to find that key at some point. There's a room over here. Let's see what's inside. It's the sound of ominous murder in the form of crows. For some reason they don't seem too particularly bothered with us. This appears to be a gallery of sorts. I know I probably mentioned this back in Chris's scenario, although I actually don't believe I did, and there are more crows, is that in the remake of Resident Evil for the Nintendo GameCube, this puzzle was changed considerably, and I'm going to leave this room because the crows, even though they're not attacking, there is still a sense of unease and dread when it comes to crows. So we don't want to provoke them too much. We'll switch back to the trusty Beretta for the time being. And head out this door. And there's a dog. Fortunately, it's far away, so I have the advantage of long-range shooting. And fortunately, it was only one dog. Otherwise, the dog may have been a problem if it had friends with it, but it doesn't. Now, this door, if you've seen Chris's scenario, is the door that leads outside of the mansion. Of course, we need 4 crests, which to find. Fortunately for Jill, there is a crest in the art room that she was just in, so I'm going to solve that puzzle while I'm here. It's only common sense. And of course, this being the original Biohazard, we don't have to worry about shenanigans such as Crimson Heads, which is the infamous new enemy that was introduced in the remake. Give me peaceful sleep, also known as From Cradle to Grave in the director's cut. I actually wish they had named it as such in the original, but first and foremost, we have to push the portrait switches in terms of youngest to oldest, from cradle to grave. Pushing the wrong switch will ultimately send an electric shock that will alert the crows. Also, if we fire a weapon in this room, that will alert the crows. So we just press the picture of an infant, and this one is of a lively boy. Now we have to return to the portrait over here, which I believe is of a young man. The crooked photo is that of a tired middle-aged man that Jill examined when she first entered this room, which is this portrait over here. This is a fairly simple puzzle, fairly straightforward if you know what you're doing. The Biohazard games are certainly well known for their more infamous more complex style puzzles. And that is a bold looking old man, and I believe that this is the final portrait we need to press. Give me the peace of death and I'll give you the joy of life. Which is probably why they called it Give Me Peaceful Sleep. Though as I said before, I prefer From Cradle to Grave. And that ominous music. We have acquired the first of the 4 crests that we'll need, the Star Crest. The other crests we need are the Wind Crest, the Moon Crest, and the Sun Crest. Now, this infamous music is actually, as I mentioned before, and why did I unequip that? This music is actually, was the original mansion first floor music in the Bible as a demo. And the birds are attacking. Run away from the birds. Fortunately, Jill can outrun birds. Unfortunately, birds can also fly after Jill. But those are the only times in which we will ever actually encounter crows in the entirety of the original Resident Evil. In the art room and the balcony, where Forrest was killed. There are no other crows to be found whatsoever in the original, which is kind of disappointing, although they did make up for that following Biohazard 2. Crows were much more of a threat. Put the crest in there for now. We'll keep the rest of our ammo and the mixed herbs just in case. I also need to go upstairs. I can finally deal with these 2 zombies that are lurking upstairs. Because I need to use the armor key. There's a zombie over here, and he threw up stomach acid because he bumped into me. And you are now gone as well. Switch back to the Beretta. And the doorknob is broken, so we can't enter from that side anyway, which is rather fortunate, because that zombie was blocking the other door. I believe this is the last armor key door, and it is, so magically the key is now discarded and has no more use. And there's no zombie in here, unlike Chris's scenario, which is there is a zombie. Of course, in the arranged version of Jill's scenario, she gets the same amount of zombies that Chris does in the original. And there is a lighter on the table here. Lighters are a Resident Evil staple, so it's certainly going to be useful. There is a red herb here. I won't take that for the time being. I'll come back to it, but I will take the clips, however. That is most important. I believe that is all we can do in this room for the time being. Appears to be several living quarters for the people staying at the mansion. Unfortunately, they are now zombies.
Is that you, Jill?
It's Barry.
What's going on? How come you look so scared?
Look at this.
He's holding something. Researcher's will. It's a letter. The top of the letter is missing. The remaining says, "Yes, I'm infected. I did everything I could, but I could only delay the progress by a few days. The most frightening thing is that I forget about more about you by the day. So I chose a peaceful death, rather than becoming the living dead. Within an hour I will have entered my eternal sleep. I do hope that you'll understand my decision. Goodbye and forever yours, Martin Crackhorn. The researcher's will has been filed.
What do you think of it?
I've been thinking something is wrong with this house.
That's an understatement.
Right.
Hey, what is this? There's a page missing.
You only notice that
Yeah,
now?
I thought about that too. Perhaps that was the most important part.
It probably was. And Barry then leaves. Well, that's rather ominous. Part of that document is actually missing. And this case appears to have been broken. Did Barry break it, or did somebody else break it? Or was it already broken to begin with? Mysteries abound. There's also a lab coat hanging up on here. It has an ink ribbon in it. We will not be taking the ink ribbon. It will be useful to have, but not right now. Now that Jill has drained the fish tank via that switch, you can now shift the empty fish tank, or the tank of water. It didn't really have any fish in it whatsoever. Though it could have fish in it, I suppose. And there is a hidden compartment with explosive rounds, ammunition for the bazooka. And that was all there was in this room. So Barry has been trying to figure out more about the mansion as well. It's quite disturbing about the fate of the people staying at the mansion, the researchers, who had absolutely probably had some idea, but little idea as to the fate that would eventually befall them, which is somewhat tragic indeed. Now in this room, we cannot take the green herb. Probably would have been better if we got the red herb as well, but we didn't have enough inventory space. There is a fireplace and paper on the wall. Luckily Jill has a lighter that she can use. Apparently the paper was covered in invisible ink, or lemon juice or something to that effect. And it is a very useful item, second floor map. So we can now fully see what areas are left to explore. Jill Valentine's route and Chris Redfield's route are essentially similar. And this door is locked with a Howard lock. With only the few exceptions, such as Jill not needing to use the old keys and being able to use chemicals and stuff like that. Even though I know there are no enemies in this mansion, at this part of the mansion anymore, I still have a sense of dread. By the way, also on this wall is, in the demo of Biohazard, there was actually meant to be scrawled writing on the wall from one of the researchers, written in their own blood. Didn't really say much, but probably a cry for help, or a incoherent explanation as to what was going on in the mansion. Back down here on the first floor, we'll head into the East Wing save room. I believe this is the East Wing. I still have to orient myself. Yes, it is. That is the East Wing. It's understandable as a child to be completely lost in the mansion. Actually, probably don't need the bazooka and the explosive rounds for the moment. We will probably need it at some point. Head back upstairs and get the green and red herb that we left behind. Combine those two and then go into the other armor doors that we unlocked on the second floor as well. And then from there we shall have to find the remaining 3 crests, wherever they are. That was one of the things that drew me into Biohazard when I was much younger, was the sense of mystery and intrigue, the fact that you are investigating and trying to complete the picture as to what exactly happened in the mansion and how it relates to the Arklay murders that occurred in the outskirts of Raccoon City. Which again, I am very disappointed that the previous live-action adaptations by Paul W.S. Anderson, not once did they actually address that as such. They just kind of skimmed over it. And that's a zombie. There are 2 zombies in there. Why are there 2 zombies? Where did they come from? I'm genuinely surprised by that. I've never had that happen. Glad I had the shotgun with me. That actually terrified me. Again, that was not a jump scare. That was not zombies jumping out of nowhere and randomly attacking me like the dogs. As you go into a room and all of a sudden there are 2 zombies. And you have to react to that. Once again, I let my guard down when it comes to the original Biohazard. I believe in the director's cut, a zombie breaks out from that door. No need to go back downstairs, and I'll keep the shotgun handy just in case. Yes, indeed, Shinji Mikami did a very good job, and the development team for Biohazard did a very good job when it came to crafting the atmosphere of the original Biohazard. Heavy looking suits of armor. It's a shame we can't actually wear those, but then again it would actually be rather detrimental in a survival horror situation. Now this is a trap puzzle. I could show you what happens by pressing the button instead of moving the statues over the holes, but that will lead to poison gas, and I don't have any way to cure poison, so I am not going to do that. I believe that is those 2 vents are sufficiently covered. I hope. Indeed, nothing happened, except of course for the case over there opening. Another simple puzzle. Of course, if we push the statues now, while the gas is on, the gas will still affect us. And that is the second crest, the Sun Crest. Don't push the statue there, Jewel. Don't walk into the statue there, Jewel. So now we have 2 of the 4 crests in hand. So now we just have to find the other 2 remaining crests. And with that acquisition, I believe I shall end this episode here. So when we return, adventurers, we shall head into this room that lies before us. And I will leave it at that. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.